Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. Let's start. So let me start with this one, dollar index. Also, this would be on YouTube. So to my YouTube viewers, I hope you understand that these are just views I'm giving of direction which the chart is going to go. You will have to have a strategy to trade it. You will have to make sure that it's confirming the views that I shared. The views are based on wave analysis. If you don't understand wave analysis, and I assume a lot of you watching my videos might not be pros on wave analysis, as well as there's a lot of bogus wave analysis out there, which you have to be careful of. People have different views and different ways of looking at the chart. If you want to understand my way, watch more of my videos. Or better yet, join the group. We have an amazing group. You can join it anytime. It's not about selling your course. You can join the group anytime. People write me and ask me, when is your next course? It's not important. When you join our group, we teach you to trade. You get all the knowledge you possibly need about trading and more. So we teach you to trade until you become a good trader because you have lifetime access to the group. You pay once and you have lifetime access to the group. So if you do believe, and you have to really believe that this is what you want to do, you need to have at least 1 year experience before you join. You will notice that I don't have a website that says buy basic course, buy gold course, buy platinum course, buy all this bullshit, because they will never make you successful traders. The very close thing is if you want to become a successful trader and you have at least 1 year experience. Why 1 year experience? Because that time will allow you to make the decision whether you actually want to be a trader. Because not everybody who has the ambition to be a trader has the ability or the drive to become a trader. You might just give up in 3 months, and for me, that's not something I want to waste my time on. Right? I want to make sure you're pretty sure you want to be a trader, and you're going to put the efforts in, and then you can join our group, because there's a lot of work you're going to do in the group as well when you come there to become a trader. But there's guarantee that if you stick around, you're going to be successful. We can almost guarantee that if you stick around and you learn, because I can see that from the traders who stick around and are learning, they're becoming successful traders. So make your decision. Let's go. Let's start with the dollar index. Dollar index is, as we said last week, if you watched the webinar, I said there is a chance it can break out, but this is not so much a corrective structure. So there's a possibility for this to happen, and we go break the top. It's making a small flag here, and I think that might just give you one more up. Now, if you're a senior, if you have good trading skills and you already understand this, you can take that trade because the chances are it's going to come back down. So you might have to close it for break even. Now, there's a chance you might get enough profit to take profit out of it before it comes back down, because I'm looking at this as a correction for downside. And I think by now you already know we're trying to get to this low if you're watching my videos, right? So eventually this big correction should drop here. Now, can they make one more move up and then come here? Possible. Is this the one that is going to come down? Not necessarily, right? You see, we'll be making corrections and making bigger corrections and bigger corrections and bigger corrections. Eventually they drop. So let's see if this is the one that will drop. Maybe this become an even bigger correction, but even if it is going to become a bigger correction, eventually this will pull back here and then go back up. So even if we're going to be in a much bigger, longer drawn out corrections, we'll come back down. So there's a sell setup forming here after we break that up. Right? Once we confirm that there is going to be a sell setup, we will absolutely sell it. Whether we take that buy or not will depend on how we see it in our trading room today, which means skillful traders might take it if we see a very good flat at the top there. Traders who are not that versed may want to wait for it to break the top, pull back, make a flag, and then sell it, because the bigger trade is to the downside. Silver, amazing. Last week we told you about this pattern and the likelihood of them forming this pattern, and that is exactly the form. It could have broken out, or it could have, that was a buy setup. We took it, we made profit out of that trade, and there are a number of other trades we took in. And now we're looking for the sell setup. So if we get a flag here today, this is going to be a sell to break this low, and then we're expecting it to go up. I'm not expecting this to drop much more. Could it drop much more? Possibly. If we were in the sell and this thing drops through the bottom, guess what? I'm a happy person, because we will be in that sell. But I'm not expecting it to do that based on wave analysis. It has to come somewhere here and then take off to the upside, make a new high, because this is a corrective structure. So in the 4 hour, I expect them to come and break this top, right? Why break that up? Well, if you go back and you look at all my webinars when this started to happen, coming down, and go back and look at all of them and just look at the silver part in them, you would see that we said they're going to make a flat here and we are coming to this low, not necessarily breaking the low because we broke the top, which means when they come here, they're going to go back up and break that top. And that was how many months ago? Go back and check it. Well, it's doing exactly that right now. I still think this is going to come here and go break the top. When it breaks this top, we can confirm that. It is definitely going to break this top because the pattern like this, it's very similar to the pattern you have here. See this one? It came down. This should go up. And then when it breaks this top, sorry guys, we will confirm whether it's going to break that top or whether we're going to drop. Most likely this pattern is a complete pattern and we're going to break the top and then we can start to come down. How high this go? Well, we'll decide that. We will see as it's going. We don't know. But this is an impulse that is not going to go way, way, way to the top. It's going to end very soon and go back because we will be in a bigger consolidation. But for now, today's trade or within this week, we expect the downside and then the upside. All of that could happen this week. If there's a structural change we see, we'll definitely change our views on that. But for now, that's the view. That view is not changing as long as the pattern remains intact. All right, so wait for a flag here, go for the sell setup. Gold, similar, same. Well, you might not get a good sell in the gold. You'll have to be careful. Gold made a top here. Unlike silver, the second move up in silver wasn't that much. So this is a small flat. I still think we'll probably just come break this low and go back up. But if we get a sell set up here, we'll consider it. Can this drop through the bottom here? Maybe. I'm not expecting that to happen, but it's possible. Now, because of the pattern we see in silver, I don't think that will happen. Right? If it is going to be a dollar movement, not silver and gold separate value, but dollar value change, then we'll get that up move here and then the downside. But let's see if we get a flag for a sell. This might not be a bad sell. You could probably get out for positive. You'll wait for a flag here first, and then we'll look for a sell setup. Can it go up from this point? Well, that would be another contracting flat. I'm not expecting that because we have a contracting flat in here already. 1, 2, 3. And that would probably come back here. We'll see. Euro. Euro is at the bottom. And I still think this is a pattern that is completed, but it's not finished. There's a difference with that. Completes means that they have the minimum requirement for the pattern to be considered a pattern that's complete. But finish means you have to wait for this impulse to finish what it's doing before you go back up. So right now, I think we might be making a small flag here for one more drop and then the upside. Now, whether you sell that flag or not depends on your skill level. I would not advise new traders to sell this, because the chances are they might barely tip the low and turn. And I can show you a number of them that did that. Here is a good example. You get a flag here, they broke the top, they reverse. You get a flag here, they broke the low, they reverse. Those are points that we expect reversal. Just like this, I'm telling you now, there's a chance it could do this in reverse. We want the buy to the upside, not the sell. We're looking for the buy. This sell, I would probably not take the trade. Can it drop 200 pips? Well, not my luck. I'm simply not going to trade it based on the analysis that I have. Let it go down. I'll probably find something else to trade. Pound. Pound is amazing. It's almost doing every single piece that we proposed here, expecting it to do. So I think Pound has a little more downside here. And then upside, we look for that buy. Right? This was the sell setup you saw there. That was on Friday. So we've been buying and selling this pretty often because you can see what it's doing. So from this point, we look for a buy setup to the top, and then we'll have one more down to complete this pattern. We'll see how that goes. Can this be the one that takes off? On one condition, if you look at this pattern slightly different, and it's possible to look at it slightly different. So we're going to leave this option here first, and then we'll see what happens. Aussie is pretty easy. And if you get a sell set up, you can take the Aussie trade because Aussie is making a flat, and I think this should break the low. So there's a good trade here. Actually, that's a good one. Anybody could take that trade. If we get that trade set up, and we will be selling this today, I think we will be doing that in the group. Put a sell set up there for this trade to the downside. Once it breaks the low, we'll see how far, track it to see how far it goes, follow it, exit the trade because it's going to go back up. Right? We're expecting this to go back up without breaking the low. Now, can it break the low? Absolutely. That would be happy. We'd be really happy if it breaks the low because that would give us a very nice trade down. But I don't think they will break the low because once they break this low, that pattern is completed. How far this go to finish it? We don't know. Whenever it's finished, it's going to go back up. So this week, we might even get that trade to the upside. We might get the down trade first and then the up trade. All of that could happen in this week. Now, could there be any changes to that pattern as it go along? yes, there could be changes. The pattern could become more complex than that. But you are not going to get that complexity. We will probably see that change and change our views of where the next move is going to be in our group. But if you're watching my weekly webinars and think you're going to get that, it's not going to work. If you want my daily webinars, send me a Skype message, you'll get it. It will show you all the changes we make on a daily basis because we do this every single day. So watch for that trade, then the upside. This is a nice trade, basically. If you get the webinar before it breaks, I think it's a trade you can actually take. Right? It might consolidate some more. It doesn't have to. There's a nice flag there for a sell. And you can even move the sell. We can actually even take the sell setup from this point and see where it goes. Now, I'm not making a trade call for you. I'm showing you what we will do in our group. Personally, what I would do and what my group is going to do. New Zealand, it looks more like they'll have to come up here before they fall. They can drop a little more here, just make a long running flat, a long drawn out running flat. I don't think this thing is completed the way it is. So we're staying out of the New Zealand for now. We're not going to be selling this here, and it's not a good buy setup. So we'll just wait until that's finished. It's in a B wave correction of a B wave. Let it finish that. When it starts to make the bigger impulse, we'll join the trade. Now that might not make any sense to you if you don't understand wave analysis, right? You might hear me say, okay, we're not trading this until it finished this pattern, drop to here, and then start to make the bigger one up. You may say, what the hell is he talking about? So let me give you very quick. There's a flat going on here that has to finish. This is the impulse up. When it starts to make that impulse up, we'll be interested in it. And then it's going to make an impulse down because this is all a B wave structure, right? And the amazing thing is you don't have to know what's going to happen in the world for that to happen. You don't have to know what needs to happen in New Zealand or anywhere in the world for this thing to finish this consolidation it's in, go back up to the top and then come down here, because that is the way the patterns normally behave. It means that movement is already in plan. It's already working. It's already telling us that there's a high probability for that to happen based on what is already happening, not what is going to happen tomorrow or what is going to happen next week. This is already in the making, right? So if you see a car that is almost completed, but only the wheels are not there, you can literally say, you know what, if they put wheels in that thing, it's going to be a car. And you will probably be 90% or 80% correct, because we don't know if they're going to put wheels in it. Maybe they put something else in it and it's not a car. But you can make with very high probability that if they put 4 wheels in that thing, it's a car. See, it's the same thing with patterns. You're looking at it and said, you know what, we have seen them done this in the past. This is how the market works. When these patterns are created, traders are doing a specific thing. And whatever that specific thing they're doing will eventually have the outcome of it going up, which means there will be more buy orders coming in. And the market is at that balance where the buy orders are going to get bigger, because the way it's trading is telling us that is probably going to happen. Now, if you're a fundamentalist or any other thing, you may say, well, that sounds crazy. Go back and look at most of my charts. You will see it's not such a crazy idea, right? So eventually we're going to get that big one up there when all of this is finished. And that's why we're not trading this, because it doesn't have perfect trade patterns inside here. But when it starts to go up, that's going to be a good one, and down is going to be a good one. So let's wait for it. Don't try these little pieces. You can trade them, but if like we can trade the Aussie, we can't trade this. It doesn't have a good setup to trade. Swiss, pretty much still in the consolidation. The only thing is, how do we look at this pattern? And there are, a number of ways. You can look at that. This is the lowest point, and we're trying to go up, or we're still in this sideways consolidation for a running flat, which means it's going to be a very big, long, drawn out running flat pattern. And that means we're going to be here for a longer time. As of now, we're looking at the possibility of this being the low, and we're going up because of the way the chart is structuring itself. It's not confirmed. We can't confirm it. We don't have enough information in the pattern itself to confirm that. But here's what we can do. We can break up it into pieces and take the smaller pieces. So we've got an impulse, and if we get a flat here, we'll go for one more buy. That's just one more trade within this range. And then we will see how that develops. If that breaks out, we'll reconsider, we'll look at it as, maybe the start of the uptrend. It will have to confirm that uptrend still in a bigger correction. But if that doesn't confirm itself, which means they come here and they start to go down, we will still get a trade here, either break even or profit. And then we'll look for the downside. The downside, once that starts up, there's a big trade, which means we will sell this anytime we get a sell set up, because there's a target to the low they have to go to, which is breaking this low. So if we get sell setups, we'll absolutely take them. The buy, we will take them one step at a time, one trade at a time. Yen, I think you can already see that we're in a consolidation. One, and you can see this happening. So this looks like it's going to break down today. Hopefully, if that happens, we're going to get this trade. Now, we might get this trade from a much better point than where I have, because that's a 4-hour chart. And that trade setup you saw there was for Friday's trade, which didn't turn out to break. It actually went higher. So we would look for a trade from the top here coming down. Seems like they're making a flag here to give us one more up, break the top and maybe drop. Let's see. Looks like they can break the top and drop. We expect dollar index to do that. Then if that's the case, we might get a trade. I'm only interested in the sell in the yen, not the buy. CAD. We actually broke out of the range. The range we had last week was this, and they were consolidating in it. And we were looking at this a little different. This is a flat for a 1, 2, 3 that should come down. It started to come down. That was a good sell. Didn't go very far. If you took any trade in there, worst case is you got break even. And then it started to consolidate here. And during the week, we already made the decision that if it's consolidating there, we're not trading it, because we have no idea what that consolidation is going to do. It can go up and it can drop. If it's going to drop, in the group, we said, well, let them drop to this level, make a flag, and we'll sell. If it is going up, let it break the top, you can buy. We literally, if any trader was in the group, they could have bought the break of the top, right? If not, you wait for this flag and there's a buy setup forming. And right now, it looks like we're making a flag for one more up. If there's any risky trade to the upside I would want to take, I'm not buying in, I'm not buying the dollar index, but I'm not selling euro, but I can buy CAD. I wouldn't mind putting my risk on buying the CAD to the upside and try to get it to break even if it doesn't go, because potentially the CAD could go up quite a lot. So let's say I'm wrong about all of that and they actually take off like a rocket. The dollar index goes really high, the euro falls really strong, the Aussie goes down, I'll be in the Aussie trade, which is good for me. And I can take a risk on the CAD trade to the upside, because potentially CAD broke the weekly low. And that is not how I expect the impulse to start to go up. That is pretty messy for an impulse to go up, and I'm not going to go into details on why. But it could be that they're starting a very slow impulse to the upside, and that means we're literally going to come back all the way to this stuff, when we might not even get that daily correction because we broke the weekly low. So we might just literally be going up. And that is why a buy here in the 1 hour is a risky trade as it stands right now, but I don't mind taking this trade. I still think they will make a new low before they go, because this is not how you expect the impulse to start. That's not how we like to see the impulse start. You want to see the impulse make a very sharp move up, make a correction, and then take off, not like this. So that means that I think this is still a bigger correction for one more down, and then the big upside will start. Let's see. New Zealand CAD. Okay, this broke out. It didn't go anywhere. You're still in the correction. Take that off. It's still more of a corrective structure here. You can see that. It looks upside, like all New Zealand pairs. This looks like it probably come back here, or it might even drop here and then go back there, make a big flat, and then downside. Right, that is a trade you can look for. Let's see. This is just going to be a big flat. Could this be the start of a bigger move to the upside? I don't think so. We're still in this correction, so I don't think we're taking off like a big one. We'll just probably make a flat like this here, something like this here, and then drop one more. So we'll wait and see how this goes. Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD is upside. It broke out. It came back, so that would be a break-even trade. It spent quite a long time there, so that would definitely be a break-even trade. And we took it not from there, actually. We took it from a lower point because it went lower from where this was. So if you took it from a lower point, it didn't go. It make a bigger consolidation. Let's see what we have here now. So let's look at this from this point, right? It's still a consolidation. We don't have the downside. If we think this is making a 1, 2, 3 for downside, you'll have to get a flag here before you sell it. I just think this is making some kind of an expanding or running flat for upside. So let's look back at it and see what are the patterns in it. Okay, so you broke that out, but you didn't go anywhere. Let's assume that that ended this first wave up, 1, 2, 3. We're not really making much of a downside here. You're consolidating here. So you go back up there, and then there's a sell setup, drop like that. We can sell it. I think once they break this top, we can look for the sell setup and see how far that goes. If that becomes more of a flat, then you're still going to go up. If that turns to the downside, then we will go with this as all the correction you get. Right? The buy was here. You could see that. So it's a small trade. It didn't go where we expected to go. It's the pattern still played out, but the pattern didn't go as far as we expected to go, which is tag this and maybe straight up to the top. So let's see if we get more consolidation here, then the downside, then the upside. right? Because sometimes where you think the pattern ended is not where it actually ended. It could make another correction, drop again, make another correction, drop again, and then you find the end before it goes. Like I said, it's qualified to say that that pattern is completed, but it's not finished as yet, right? The impulse, the last impulse might still continue to go some more, but that doesn't mean you don't take the buys. Because if you don't take the buys, you could miss the big trade to the upside. So you take the first one, you take the second one, you take the third one of them will go. If you understand how wave analysis works. Cadian? Okay, Cadian is at the daily top. And we are expecting it to drop. But again, this might not be the drop because that last impulse doesn't look like it's finished. It looks like it's still going to go up more. So we have a very slow down move happening here. Pretty slow, you can see that. It's coming pretty slow. There is a sell setup that is forming here. There was a sell setup there, and this looks like another sell setup forming. We'll have to be careful if we took it. We took that trade on Friday. I personally was in the trade. We took that trade on Friday. We closed it there. If this goes up a little more and drop, we might consider selling this. And once it breaks the low, we put that into profit. So if it turns out that we're making something like this for one more up, this would be a short trade. We'll close it. We'll look for the upside. Now, the question of whether you want to buy it, if it's coming to break that top, I think it's a good trade. We'll probably take the buy. But what if this is the start of the downside, but it's going slow? Sometimes that happens. This is the start of the big move to the downside, but it's just going slow, just like the cat is going slow. And then you get that big drop. Because we're at the weekly top, right? The idea is we're a weekly top and this thing could drop, right? This is the weekly pattern. And we broke we came back close to the top. We don't have to break it because we broke the low, right? We're at the top of that weekly chart. Can we come back down all the way to the bottom? Very likely. So if you get a 1 hour sell setup, take the trade. That's what we would do, right? We'll take the sell setup if we get it there. If it proves it's a sell, great. If it keeps climbing up, what if it just keeps climbing up like this? Well, if we get the sell from here, we'll take it. What if it breaks out? It has to make a flag before we buy. See? So it's what it is doing right now on what are the possibilities in terms of wave pattern as to where it can go. And then you wait for that setup to take the trade. Euros. Okay, looks like we're making a bigger consolidation here. We broke the low, but that didn't go anywhere. This is still very much a consolidation. You can see that there. And we're making a flag here for upside. So we broke the low, but we're making a flag for one more up. Where would this take us? I don't think it's going to take us far, but it's a buy setup. I think we might just get to this top and then still come back here for a bigger running flat or expanding flat. So there's a trade setup here we can take. And, you know, it's a good trade. It's a good short-term trade. And then we'll see where that takes us. But I don't think that one will be the big upside, right? It's making a flat. So if we get a trade, there's a small flag here for a sell this morning. Do I think this one is going to drop? It's possible, not necessarily, but it's possible. It could drop. If it's going to drop, we need a flag. We'll have to see whether we can put this into the bigger pattern. And there's a possibility for that, very slight possibility for contracting flat. I think we're going to get one more up first. Then we'll have a regular flat rather than a contracting flat. If you get a flag here, you'll have to really consider whether it's a good enough. It has to be a big enough flag to sell. And this has got to be something really big before I decide to sell it. And once you sell it, they'll break this low, go back up and come down. There's a reason they're not going to drop all the way to the bottom. But you can consider the trade. Right now, the bigger trade would be to the upside and then the drop. Euro New Zealand. It's going up, and you probably still have one more here to go. Right? There's one more kind of a slow move going on here for upside. What's the big picture? The big picture is upside, but I don't think this is the start of that up move. Right? The big picture is upside, but I don't think this is the start because we still have this sharp one here. And we're consolidating here, we're consolidating here. And even if we get one more up like that, right, we're still going to come back here before we get a flat and then go up. So this is not the up move. This might give you a short move up, but that is not the up move. The bigger one will come later. We'll break through this structure first. Come back low and then go. I don't think this will be the up move. Now, what if this falls through the bottom here? Well, yes, that would be a better buy setup afterwards. We don't have a sell setup here. If it becomes a sell, we will sell it, which means if we get a flag here rather than the up move, if this stays here and consolidate, well, that will become a sell setup to break this low and then the upside. If this breaks out, you can look for the upside. Come back down and then go. If this goes, if you break the low first, then go, you're not coming back down so quick. So I hope this actually works its way down like this. That's my hope. Break this low, and then we get a buy setup here for the upside. That would be a better trade setup for us. So let's see which one it gives us. Like I said, that is a change we will see in the group, maybe tomorrow, maybe even today. But that's not something you guys will see, because you can't see that as the web. You know, that change will make in the group, but we can't make that on a weekly basis. By the time you see the weekly, we might be on top here already. Euro Swiss. Yep. Well, finally, we were at the bottom. So here's the big deal. This is the big one, right? That's the big one. This will definitely go up. So what we're looking at is it's dropping and it's dropping, and it can drop quite a lot. They could drop more. But every drop after this one is like the last trade. After you break this low, every single drop will be treated like the last. So if you take that one, you got take this one, you got break even on this one, you got probably some profit in that one. If you take the break of this one here, you got some profit, and there's another one forming here. If you take the break of that, you probably get a very small trade. These are very, very small trades, right? Each one of them. This one probably you wouldn't take because that's a sharp move. You'll take this one, you can take this one. These are sharp, very small trades. This is going to drop. It could probably drop like that. But at some point, this pattern turns to the upside. This is a big corrective structure. It's really big. It's very corrective. I don't think this thing is going to totally go down. So at some point, this stops and start to go back up. How deep this could go before it stops? Well, if we assume that this is the impulse in it, they can come back all the way to this low. I don't think we're looking at this entire piece as being completed, and this is the start of a downside. It could be, but these corrections are pretty huge at the top there for us to make that decision, right? So we'll take this one trade at a time until we get either another bigger correction, until they do something more like this, and then we'll consider, okay, we're going down, or a reversal. I'm more inclined to believe patterns like these go up. So we'll still hope that this is an upside, not a downside pattern. You can take the 1 hour flag to the downside, but you'll have to take it as the very last trade possible. Every one you traded down will be like the last trade before you get a big up move. Euro Yen, same here. We expect it to drop. It looks like they might drop one more too. Pretty much look like you can get one more drop for this running flat. So let's see. Not necessarily, but it's possible. Depending on what this piece does, if this piece correct lower to this level and then go back up, yeah, that would be a flat for one more down. We're looking for the buy setup. It's not quite the buy setup as yet, but let's see how it behaves, and then we'll make that decision. Euro pound, one more down. So I told you last week, this has to come and break the low before you go for the buy. It's coming, and you're definitely going to break the low now. So you need to break this low. See? Once we break that low, this pattern will be completed. The requirements for the pattern will be completed once you break that low. How low this go is anybody's guess. It can come back all the way to this low. We can drop all the way to there. We might even break that low, then go back up and then go down. If we don't break the low, if they stop short here, right? If they just break this low and go back up, this could be a big move to the upside. So we will consider the sell in that, but we're definitely looking for the buy to the upside. Let's go, EuroCAD. Stay out of this. It's still in the consolidation. It's likely going to be a headache for you. They dropped before breaking, before going back up there. So the question is that a contracting flat, or are we still in the B wave? I still think we're in the B wave, which means you're just getting a more complex B wave forming here. See, this piece is still complex. We still have to get the move up, the move down, and then the move up. So this move up didn't happen. Take that out. There was a sell setup there. It's not a good sell setup. You would have got break even on it if you took it. All right. If you took that sell there, it dropped and it go right back up. So you would be back at square one, which means you closed it for break even. If you're trading with a strategy, you would definitely have to close that for break even. So let's see what we have here. I still think we're in this big corrective structure here. We'll probably come back to the low here, and then we'll go up. That still has to give you this one, and it still has to give you that one. If we consider this to be this one for a contracting flat, right? We were looking for a regular flat when we said it will come here and then go down. But if it's a contracting flat and we're going down here as a contracting flat, let's just assume for a second that's a contracting flat, right? One, well, you'll have to go at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then this is, you should still get this move down. I still think we're in the B part. We're going to get that one up. We're going to get this one down, and then we're going to get a bigger one up. Probably stay out of it. It's not the best trading. Pangos. Okay, it made a new high. That's expected. 1, 2, 3. Now we're expecting the downside from this. Right, so we'll watch to see whether this gives us a downside or whether this correction continues to happen. It's coming down. You probably don't have a sell from there, but you can get a sell from the break of this low, or if we get another flag here. What if they go more? What if they go higher, like 1, 2, 3, and go one more up? That is possible. You can look for a buy setup from here. Once this comes down and break the low, start to go back up, there's a buy there. It's still within the corrective structure. And then we can drop, because that is still a correction. All you're doing is making a bigger correction. See, all this will become is a deeper correction, one more impulse up, and then the downside, because we're in this structure, and that's likely downside. So sometimes you get really big correction at the bottom or the top before you come down, and here is a good example. See, this was a very big, deep flat into this, so we're just making a small one. We haven't come to the top as yet. So even if they go up one more, it's still a sell setup. Right, as this stand, this is still a sell setup. Actually, this was a sell setup here this morning. I don't think we saw that. So we'll wait and see. I can still see this going up one more, coming to this level, and then go up one more and then drop. But if it drops here, make a flag, we're definitely selling. Pound New Zealand. It's coming down, not the way we expect it to come down, but it's coming down. So let's see where we are in the big picture. And the big picture, we were expecting this last week. If you look at last week, when we were expecting this to drop through without just break this top and then drop, it started to come down, but it didn't really go further. We didn't make a new high. So here's where we are stuck. We're still in this structure, right? And this is still the impulse of this piece down. There's no other way we can look at it because this is very corrective going up. So the question is, are we going to make another flat here, or is this some kind of a contracting flat? I think we're making another flat, which means this is going to come back here, give us a running flat, go one more up, and then come down. It's just going to be a bigger running flat. Structurally, this is okay. It can even go higher than that. It's going to come back here, but then we're totally going up. So there will be one more move down here before we go, but first they might go back, make a new high. So this one coming down should give us a sell setup. If we get a sell, we can take it. If we get a sell setup here, we can take this trade for one more down, and then we'll expect this to go back up, and then look for the downside. So we're making 1, 2, 3, a running flat, go back up, break the top, and then come down. That's it. You can look for a sell setup. Pound Yen, total upside, at least to break this top, because they're making a big correction here right now. We've got a sharp impulse. Looks like we're making a big correction here, so we should probably go retest that top before we come down. If we get a buy setup, we'll take it. We might even get an earlier buy setup in here. I realize we have a flag in here that might be worth trading. There's a flag forming here that might be worth taking the trade, not from the top here. That's out of the question. I'm taking from a lower point if we get that set up to go. I like it. Pound CAD. Boy, this thing is a headache. It's just making deeper and deeper and deeper pullback. I still don't like this to be the impulse up. So which means that at some point I would actually prefer if this comes down one more, make a new low, and then go. Can we look at this as a very, very complex B-wave structure? I think eventually we can. This is going to be 1. You can look at that as 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go, right? Which means this in the middle will be part of the bigger correction here. This is sharp, this is sharp. If we get a very sharp drop there, that will confirm. We need to break this top first, though. Let's see if we broke that top. Not as yet. We did tag it, but I'm not sure we broke it. No, we didn't break it. So the only way that pattern is going to be considered the pattern we're looking at is if they first break this top and then come back very sharp to the bottom. So we look at this as the correction. We look at this as the correction, and this would be an impulse down, an impulse down, and an impulse down. Once this is completed, we can go up. See? Because this, we thought this would be the impulse up. Because 1, 2, 3 is okay. You can make 4 and you can make 5, and then you can go WXYXZ pattern, basically, right? So let's see if we get that. Let's see if this actually goes a little more up first. Actually want it to go a little more up first because that will actually give us the pattern we're looking at. Probably break the top. We can consider if we want that buy. I don't think I want that buy. Let it break the top, reverse, give us a sell. We'll sell back to the low. That should be a very fast move to the downside, which should be like this. You get a sell set up in this, you take the trade down. Or like this one, the first one. You get a sell set up here, you take the trade down. So it should be pretty fast to the downside, and then we're going to expect it to go back up. The bigger picture is upside. That has not changed. And it is unlikely going to change. We're just making a very big consolidation here, something that is pretty normal. We had a big consolidation in this one going down. We had a big consolidation in this one going up. We had a big consolidation in this one going down. You had a big consolidation in this one here going up. You had a big consolidation in this one going down. The good thing about this is that it's more like this one. You get a short impulse, you get a big consolidation, and then you get a big drop. This one, the consolidation was in the middle. We got that piece, but we didn't get much of this piece because it happens really fast. This one was pretty good. This is what you want. So we're actually doing that. A short impulse, a big consolidation here, do this, come back here, and then take off. This is the trade we're looking for. And it most likely would be like this one, except this impulse should be bigger than that. So good for us. Now that we understand what it's going to do, and if you've been following my charts on this one, it is being amazingly doing what we expected to do. You can go back starting from this point. That would be somewhere in January, even in October, December. And you would see that we were forecasting all these patterns, which means within this consolidation, it's not over. There's still probably some moves there. Whether you get them or not is not that important. Like I said, if they break this top, I'm not buying. What if this is the start of the upside, which is rare? I think very unlikely. I would say probably 5% chance this is going to be the up move. Let it break the top, let it make flags, and then we'll consider the up move and buy. But very likely they'll break that up and then drop back here, finish this pattern, and then that big move starts. So somewhere here, we'll start a buy. And that could be this week. Hopefully it's this week. That would be an amazing buy to the upside because you're going to get something like this, except bigger. So you can see trades that you're going to get in this thing coming down, and the trades you're going to get up going up. We know where it's going. That makes it easier for you to trade. So we're going to expect it from the bottom here after we break the top. Let's see. Pound Swiss. It's actually going up. We expect it to go up, and it's actually going up, but it's not going up the way we expected it to go up. So we thought this would be all. They've got a bigger flat forming here. Let's see what's happening there. We've got a bigger flat, and it's still consolidating. I think we just stay out of it for now. Just wait. It's going to go up, but we don't have a perfect setup for a buy. Aussie, New Zealand. Oh boy, it's climbing up, right? This promise, this thing is going to climb up, but it's just climbing up. Like you've got to have a lot of patience to trade it. How far can that go? We're breaking out of this. That's for sure. So this 1, 2, 3 is finished. That 1, 2, 3 there is finished. And we're going up. I'm not sure what this is going to do because we will break that up, but I don't know how they're going to go break that up. Could it be we're making some more complex pattern in here? We'll have to relook at that. I don't see it, but we'll have to relook when this is finished or when this starts to do other waves in it. It's a buy. Better not to trade it because it's moving really, really slow. On the 1 hour, it's almost impossible. You can be in for 2 days and move only 2 pips. Literally. Aussie Swiss, it's coming down. We wanted to break this low first and then look for the upside. This one dropped. That didn't become a big trade. It became a small trade. You're making a bigger consolidation here. I think you can see that. They'll go back up to the top and then drop one more, which is they should probably come back to that level and then give you that drop. Maybe consider, I don't think it's a good sell. Just ignore it. You're getting something like this here right now. See this piece? For the next drop. So you're getting something like that here, and then you're going to get a next drop. Not the best trade. Leave it alone. Aussie Yen. Okay, so we broke the top. We did go, let's take this off. This was the correction, and they did break the top. See that? They did break the top. So you got like a 1, 2, 3, go back, break the top. What is the big structure? Take all of these off now to finish. So you get like a 1, 2, 3, you're coming down. Not still not making sense, not for the upside, not for the downside. Take that off, that's finished. It didn't go as high as we expected to go, so let's take these off. And if you look at the pattern, you're still in the correction, you're still in this one. And we haven't actually made any, higher, lower lows yet. So stay away from it. This is a bigger correction in the making. It's just making a much bigger correction right now. Probably you'll get something like this in the middle there, right? You'll get probably this is one, you might 1, 2, 3, you get a 1, 2, 3, you might get a 1, 2, 3 here, something like this. Get one more up and then come down, which is just makes it very, very complex. Stay away from it. Not the best traders yet. New Zealand Swiss, 1 hour. We finally broke the low. We broke it twice. We broke it here and we broke it here. So the question is that the start of the upside? It could be, we just don't have a flag as yet. So what I would like to see, if I think that's the start of the upside, is let it climb its way up back to this top, make a correction here, and then we start buying. Don't try to buy here. They can drop one more. We don't have a sell setup. That's not a sell setup. This was a sell setup. This is not a sell setup. This was a sell setup. This one is not. This is just one piece of wave. So we just leave it, let it go break that top. I think it will go break that top, makes a correction, and then we start buying this thing. This thing is a big move to the upside. It's very similar to the Euro Swiss. And the Aussie Swiss has a similar one, but not as much as this. So the two safest buy to the upside, I would say, is I'll take that off. And I'll take this off. The two safest buy to the upside would be the New Zealand Swiss and the Euro Swiss. Let's see if we get those trades this week, right? New Zealand Yen. We're expecting some upside here. Take this off. We're expecting some upside, but it's not ready as yet. It's actually breaking out of this structure here. If you look at it, 1, 2, 3, and it's coming down. It's just not coming down as aggressive as we would expect it. So because of that, I think we could make a new high. Right? See, they're making flats. That was a sell. This was a sell. If you try to sell, this wasn't a bad idea, but they're pulling back very deep. So let's wait and see. If this becomes some kind of a correction here, to break that would be a good sell. At least to break the low again. And it could drop because we are at a very high point, just like the CAD-yen, we're at a very high point in the daily structure. So these moves will have to be yen moves once the yen is ready to go. The yen is not ready to go down as yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Chinese yuan. Okay, so we did come down on this piece, but we didn't go further, and they're still in that consolidation. So this drop never happened. It didn't become that flat we were looking at, so take it off. And right now you're still consolidating. So let's take this off, and let's assume that this is not the running flat, but it still looks like it, because they come back to the top there. And if they go back to the top, then I'm looking at a more expanding flat here, a bigger expanding flat than this, which still looks downside, but not the sell we're looking for. I'm not sure now we're going to go break that low because all the consolidation is at the top here. So if we get all the consolidation at the top there, then what is likely going to happen is that this pattern is not the way we look at it. This probably belongs to something else at the top here. We'll have to check to see if we don't have any aggressive move there. Probably get it in the future, which means this could be a big flat here of its own. Go back up there and then drop, right? Give you this move, give you a sharp move up and then drop. So you might get a more extended running flat, right? So if that becomes an extended running flat, you can trade it, but right now I don't think we have any buy or sell setups here, right? We are at the top here and it's downside. So there's not any trade setup on that as yet there. Sorry, my phone just beeped me. Swiss yen. We broke the top, so we'll assume that that could be the end of the structure or a bigger consolidation. Right now, it's not giving us the end of the structure because you keep making moves up. This looks like a buy setup. We might retest the top. All right, there's a good chance that this goes retest the top before they come. Is it a good buy in this one? I don't think so. I don't like the idea of buying that piece there. See all the divergence we have here? They could just break the top and reverse, which for us is good. Let them go break the top and reverse. Then we start looking for the sell because this should be a big sell to the downside. How high this goes? Who knows? The Peng Yen would be a better buy than this one. because potentially the pound yen has a bigger space to go to finish that move. This might be just a small move. Put it back on the 1 hour. If you get this flag here and you want to buy it, you get a flag here forming right now, but if it can, confirms that there's a flag here for this buy, it's only to break that top. One trade. So if you take the trade, that's one trade, and then you can expect downside. That's it. We broke the low, and that means we can expect upside, but we don't have any buy setups as yet. This has to go up, make a flag, and then you can consider the buy. Can it drop some more here? Yeah, that could happen. Not a good idea for selling, unless you get a correction, a big flat or something with a flag in it afterwards. So there's a big flat forming here, which means at some point, this is going to give you an impulse to the downside. It's inside of this one, right? So that means when you come here, you're likely going to do this again. There might be a trade setup there, but then you're going to go back up. We look at that as a running flat, one more down, and then we'll see what happens to it. Is this the big start of the downside, or do we still have an up move coming? Looks very corrective, which means you're likely going to make a new high. But you can look for a sell setup here today if you get a flag. It's going to make a deep pullback there, but we'll need a flag here before we can sell it. Put one more down. Just forget about that one. Let's go. Let me take that thing off. We don't trade it. Yes, US oil. We broke the top again, and every time you get a buy setup from last week, I'm telling you that there was a buy setup here. We took that trade. But every time you take a buy setup on this thing, you have to be careful that at any point in time it can drop, which means if you get a buy setup here today and you take that trade, take one, take off the profit. It make an impulse starts to consolidate, take off the profit. Wait for another consolidation, buy again, take off the profit. Because the bigger structure is telling us that this thing doesn't have quite a lot to go. If you look at the bigger structure, you can see that, right? Go to the daily. The daily is telling us that this at some point would have to go back down. So if we take that to be the contracting flat we see in it, then that is already making a top, and which means at any point in time, this thing could go down for a deeper correction, which means you will get a bigger correction, maybe as big as this one here. See, when you get a big impulse like that, you get a deep correction, then you get another impulse. This is one impulse. We'll have to get a big correction here before it continues to go. So you're making a top with a lot of divergence, which means very soon that thing could turn to the downside, even if that is the contracting flat. If that is not the contracting flat, then what is going to happen is you get a running flat. Eventually they come here, go back up, and then go for the bigger consolidation. But this could be a move to the downside that could be big and very sharp. So when you take the 1 hour buys, you'll have to be aware of that possibility. It doesn't mean you don't take the trade. It just means you're aware of a possibility that it could drop really sharp. So you have to get the hell out of it so you're not stuck in a buy, hoping that it's going to go very much to the upside. All right, so just remember that. Every flag you get, you can buy, but you have to be very, very careful. Let's go. UK oil, same thing. Natural gas. It's going up. If you're buying, wait for flags. We got a flat. We're going up now. We still don't have this one. I don't see anything to go with that. Maybe this one here. I don't really like that. So we'll wait and see whether it is that one. Right? We'll have to wait and see. Because on this big flat in here means we could still get one here. On the big picture, this is where you are. You're at the top of this move. So if you get any buy setup here, if you get any buy setup, you'll take it, but you be careful. One impulse, take off the profit, because there's a chance we come back to this level. First, there's a chance we make a flat here, the smaller one first here, and then go back up and then come down. But in the big picture, there's a chance you come back either for this one and then go up, or either for this one here and then go up, depending on how you look at this piece. If you take that to be an expanding flat, then we'll come way down to the bottom. If that is not an expanding flat, I think it is an expanding flat. I consider it an expanding flat. Then we'll come all the way to the bottom here and go. Can we break the top first? Possible. It is possible to break the top and then come back. So we'll see. We're making big consolidation here. And you're at the top of the structure. So any 1 hour buy you get and you take it, you have to take it as if that is going to be the last impulse. US 30. Okay, we've got a downside and we have a big flat in here now. So that means we're expecting this one to make this come back here, come here, and then probably make a new high. Right? When we make the new high, then we look for the downside. When we come to the new high, which is here. So we haven't got the new highs yet. I think we get a flag here like this. We look for a buy setup. We'll probably come back here because this would be the flat in the middle. There's going to be 1, 2, 3. You're likely going to get one more down, and then the upside, and then the big downside. There is a big downside coming, right? Let's go very fast because we're running out of time. I'll show all of you that. Maybe I'll do an update sometime this week and I'll give you guys all of that, right? NASDAQ, this is going up. This doesn't have to go down immediately, right? This has a complete pattern already here. So this could keep going up. Look for buy setups. You get a flag buy. There was a flag, there was a buy setup there. You're getting a small flag here. You do have some divergence. So that's a sign of caution. Not means it doesn't go up. It means a sign of caution. So wait for a flag here, take the trade, it make one more impulse, take profit. Every impulse you get, take profit. S&P 500, this would have to go down back, I think. We still have this one, that impulse. We don't have anything for the impulse. See? So even if this keeps making higher high, which there's a flat here, see that? Even if we keep making higher high, at some point you'll come back here before you go. So every trade here would have to be very, very cautious. One impulse, take the flag, take the impulse, close the trade, wait for the next one. Can they make a number more of trades to the upside here? Yeah, they can go quite a while. It's going to be a running flat. DAX is at the top, so you really, really want to be cautious about any buy here. We're at a big top, and at any point in time, we need to get a drop like this. So this would have to drop here, make a flat like that, go back up, and then you can come down. So there is a drop coming. If you get a flag for a buy, take the trade with caution. It's making a flag actually right now. It's kind of making a small flag at the top there. You can see we're consolidating. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes some kind of a consolidation here. One more impulse up. That's possible. And then we look for the downside. You can buy this, take profit off. Every buy you make in this now, the same thing, you're taking profit off immediately. AU 200. It's still going up, but probably there's no good trade setup here. Nifty. I think we're getting another running flat possibility here. We can make an argument for that. We look for buy setups. Tesla. Okay, this will be consolidation for more up. You probably get something like this, pull back here and more up. That'll be a flat there. It's going to likely go back up. We're still in the big consolidation here, right? And it's not dropping as yet. So they'll probably consolidate here for a long time before you actually get the next impulse down. Amazon came up as we expected. That is this piece here. Expected that to go up, complete this flat. And at some point here, you start looking for downside, right? It will come down here before they finish that move and then go back up. I don't think we can end the move at this level. That'll be a weird contracting flat. So at some point, I think we're going to get a drop here and then the up move will start. Once that is finished, they will complete this big flat, right? That's a big corrective flat structure forming there. I think we should get one more down here, complete that flat, and then totally upside. Well, let's see if that happens. So far, all the other pieces have happened perfectly, right? So we just need to see this piece fall here, finish that, and then upside. This is a little too short to say. It is running flat. We broke the top. We don't have to break the low, basically, because we broke the top, but that one is a little too short. Normally, you'd want it to come to, I don't know, about this level at least before we go back up, right? Because we broke the top, we don't have to come and break the low again, right? So we can stop short of breaking both of these lows anywhere here and go back up, but there has to be a drop because that one is slightly too short. So let's get a drop to the downside, and then we'll see what happens from there. Upside expected. Okay, this one completed that flat and it's already going. So you have buy setups there actually. And the 1 hour you should have flag. Yes, that's a buy setup. Go for it. Reliance, buy setup. PayPal, still in the consolidation, but it's going to go up more. So last week we already said this is going to go up to the top there. It could come back pretty high because we're making a flat there. This is the first impulse in it. So I expect this to actually go break that top. Maybe you're going to get more of this in here and then you're going to drop. Right, so we could be here for a while before we go down. And I put this one on this morning because there's a perfect setup here for a sell. You can look at this. We had a move down, sorry. We had a move down, we got a move up, we got a 3-wave down, we got this, and we're getting a flat there. This should come back at least to this level. Even if they'll come back to the top there, right? But they can also drop through the bottom. You can go with that as a corrective structure. I think that makes sense. Or we can make an argument for that. So this sell setup here is a good one, even for this small trade. So going to 1 hour, there's a flat pattern happening here right now. It could be a contracting flat, which means they can fall right now. I don't think it is. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It could be complete as a contracting flat. You can look at it as a complete contracting flat, which means you can put the sell entry somewhere here or wait for a flag, wait for it to make a flag and then sell the flag. Right? The flag like this is the sell setup. So if you get a flag like that anywhere under the, either under the correction or, just inside the correction, might be a good idea to go for. Looks like a good trade. Let's see what happens. I like it. Then it's a trade to the downside. That's a big trade all the way to this level, break that low. And if you're lucky, it's actually going to be the impulse that is falling. If you're not so lucky, you get a more complex correction structure in it. See, these flats work perfect. This one should work. Bitcoin. Good. Magic is working, right? See that line that is going to go up? Well, it go up with a correction. No big deal. They do make corrections. They had a correction here. They had correction there. This was a big correction. So you made 1, 2, 3. You make 1, 2. We're expecting this to be a 3 back to the top here. And then we should come back down. Basically, we should come back down, right? So we need to complete this part. So we could break the top. It's pretty low. We just tagged the low so we could break the top. So I'm going to put it like this. I'm just moving the same arrows, just moving them slightly this way because the chart had a correction there. And they're going to make more corrections. It doesn't go in a straight line, right? So these arrows will move this way because we're in a big correction. So once this get to the top there, you can expect it to come back down because we'll be looking at this wave down and then we'll look at that wave up, which means we expect that to go back up. And then guess what happens when all of that finish? You're going to have a big flat at the bottom there if all of that happens. So if we get all these pieces fitting into each other like this perfectly, that'll be a big flat for one more down. So this would be one move down, that'd be one move, and then you can get another one. How high this go? Well, I don't know. They can go a little higher. This could go a little higher. This could go a little higher. Make a little more expanding kind of flat or running flat and then come down. Depends if we tag the low. Yeah, I think we tag the low, so it'd be a running flat. The first one would be a running flat. The second one could also be a running flat. So if you start to make all that correction there, you're going to drop lower. So if you're holding Bitcoin, I'm not telling you what to do. I don't have the authority to tell you what to do. Neither do I have the right, but I can tell you what I would do if I was holding Bitcoin. At this level, I would bail out. Once I see a structural change, not just bail out when it hit that level, but once it turns, once you see that turning point, like I was telling you at the top here, do you still want to buy it? Go back and watch it. Well, yeah, this could make one more up. We saw this and we said, you know what? This could make one more up. This here could make one more up. But do you want to buy it at the top here? You don't want to be the last person to exit. Do you want to buy it? Well, congratulations if you bought. You're a Bitcoin millionaire. You believe it's going to 100,000. Maybe it will go, but not after it made a daily correction, right? Not after this correction is finished. Just like this one went, right? After this correction, that one went. So how long this correction is going to take? Almost a year. If we work with the way this correction worked, that took how long? That took exactly about 365 days. Well, I might not be exact with the days because the candles are very close, but plus minus, you can make the candles farther away and you can test it yourself. Plus minus that. Do we have that amount of time here? Nope. From the start there to the bottom, we don't have that amount of time. So if you take it from here, we're about, I'll have to make the candles bigger to be a little more accurate than that. I don't think we have 365 days there starting from this one. I think we have just about 60 days. Congratulations, 300 days more of correction you're going to have before this goes back up. And that's the minimum. That's assuming that they're going to make just this amount of correction. They can make it much longer. It could be 2 years. What if this is the top of the move? What if this is a 3-wave structure, not a 5-wave structure? Right? Let me give you some lessons in wave analysis. It could be 1, 2, 3. You may say, well, hey, this thing could go up one more. I would say maybe. But you notice we had a pullback here. See that pullback there? I draw it that you can't see now. Right? So this first wave had 3 waves in it. Let's put it this way. The first wave of this thing had 3 waves in it. It had 1, 2, 3. Then you get a very deep pullback with a 3-wave structure also. Then you get 1, 2, 3 to the upside. You can see this one because that one is bigger compared to this one, right? Because the impulses are bigger in reality. If you look at it, right? You can see this. But go back and check my charts on TradingView, you would see that this one was one we forecast. right? Down, go back up. This one had 3 waves in it. See, there's a lot of 3-wave structures. So if all of them are making 3 waves, what are the chances that this whole big thing is a 3-wave structure? What does that mean for you? If this is a 1, 2, 3, that means you're going to be here for a long, long time, coming back to the low before it goes for another 3-wave structure. This thing is going to go up and down. Not that it's going to drop. It's going to probably even come back all the way to the top here eventually, right? This one could drop. This one could finish this piece, drop, finish that impulse, go back up like this, and then come back here, which means you might get a chance to get back to the top in a couple of years, in a year or so time, and then watch it come back here before you get another 3-wave structure, another 1, 2, 3. If it's a 5-wave structure, you're lucky. You'll only have to wait 300 more days for this to come here and then go back up. And then it will finish a 5-wave structure before you get into that big, long, drawn-out bear market, as they call it, right? So, which is it? Who knows? From my experience, most structures are 3-wave structures, not 5, regardless of what the Elliott wave theory says, including impulsive motive waves are 3-wave structures. If you would call them impulsive motive waves, you don't have to call them that. That's the Elliott wave terminology, but they're 3 waves. Look at this. Isn't this an impulse? This is a 3-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're an Elliott waver, don't come start an argument with me because you're wasting your time. I think you have very little understanding of the wave analysis if you're going to try to start an argument with me. I wouldn't even waste my time behind you. They're 3-wave structure, just like this was a 3-wave structure. And just like this was a 3-wave structure. Now, the argument that Elliott was making is that if you have 3 waves and you have 3 waves, you're not going to get progression. Well, you can see that the 3 motive waves or impulsive waves are much more sharper than the 3 corrective waves. And the same thing, these 3 corrective waves are going to be smaller and flatter. So the next one is going to give you progression. Now, that's a different argument. Right? So we're not even going to go into that, just showing you what the patterns are doing. So if there's a 3-wave structure, you'll come back to the top, but you'll take a while to go there, maybe a year. Keep it if you want. Look at this, it's going to come here, probably go there, come down, and then you might start that bigger correction. This would be the first impulse down. This might end the first daily impulse down. And then you might start a bigger, it's going to be a 3-wave structure as well, right? As you can see, there are 3-wave structures here. Let me put it in the 4-hour. The first one down is 3-wave. 1, 2, 3. You're getting a bigger correction. It's not the equivalent of that one. This one is much bigger than that. And then you could get a 1, 2, 3 down here. 1, 2, 3. This would finish one piece, and then you start to do something like this, going up back to the top there. Maybe a year time, 360 days, you'll be here. 60 already gone. In 300 days, you might be here, and then you look for that one up. Take another year or 2 to get to the top there before you come back down. It's unlikely going to break the top. It could break the top for a running flat, but not necessary. Let's see. A long conversation so you guys could understand a little about wave analysis, how it works, right? And if it is going to work like that. We'll see. We'll track it daily so you can follow me. Keep a snapshot of this so you can follow it. You'll see how we change it if there's any changes to the structure. Let's go. XRP, corrective structure looks upside. This one looks more upside still. And I could see this working its way up like this probably. Drop here one more and then go. This is going to be, I showed you a pattern like this on silver. We're already at top here in silver and we're looking for the downside. It's already started the downside. Pretty similar pattern I expect to happen here. This one we drop, we're probably going to make a bigger correction here. They're kind of making a flat here, so you get something like this, you might come here. This might still correct in here for a while. I don't think the correction is finished for a drop. I expect this to go back up one more. This is going to be the corrective part. ETH, yeah, we're correcting. I can see this dropping a little more before they go back up because we didn't break the low. Same here, dash, correction for upside. Correction for upside. Correction for upside. I think you can see the corrections. I don't have to go into details, right? I'm just showing you very quick. Corrections for upside. This one has already started. See, we had it there and it's already started. You will have to use your strategy to find your setup. So last week we looked at this and we said, okay, this is 1, 2, 3. We need to go back up for this one. And then we'll probably come down. So it's going to go back up there. It's already going, by the way. And LTC, I think it's correction for upside. Yep, all of them. Correction for upside. You broke the low, you're going up. And ADT, ADA, sorry. correction for upside. You're breaking out of this. You're getting a flag here for a buy, which is perfect. You're getting a flag there for a buy, set up back to the top. These are all corrective structures and you're still in the correction. Good luck in trading. So to all the YouTube viewers, if you manage to make it all the way to the end, thank you. Keep watching the videos and share them so you will help somebody see it. Somebody who's still struggling with trading to understand how the market moves. It might help them. Thank you very much. I'll see all of you next week. If I do have the chance, I'll probably give you an update on Wednesday. Take care.